Pick up your knives.
On your mark, get set, go.
In this series, we're going to meet volunteers who are reimagining service for our generation. Let's go meet the new volunteers. Welcome back. Today, we're in the DMV. We'll be talking to high school students who are solving the climate crisis through food justice and making sure everyone gets fed. First, I'm meeting the volunteers who run the Rise and Shine Foundation. So here's the issue. 40% of our food in the US currently goes to waste. And when we throw away food, it ends up in the landfill, where it rots and creates methane, which contributes to global warming. Rise and Shine's mission is to save this food before it becomes waste. When food is open or half-eaten, they compost it, returning its nutrients into the earth. And when restaurants or grocery stores have too much unopened food, Rise and Shine recovers it and redistributes it to the people in need by hosting pop-up food pantries and making meals for the hungry. And that's what we're gonna be doing today.
We first started by opening compost programs in schools. A lot of people didn't know about the problem of food waste and its environmental impact, and composting wasn't a huge thing in our community at that time, I would say. We reached out to a lot of different schools, and we finally had that one that was willing to take that first step, I guess. And after they were able to see the impact of what we were able to do, a lot of schools realized how important it was. So the word has been spreading about it, and that's been really great to see. We've been working with our state legislators, and we were able to get a bill passed that gives funding for schools that want to start compost programs in Maryland. We were able to get $1.25 million. So
Wait, how much?
$1.25 million.
And that's with an M, people.
It wasn't until after the pandemic when we saw the increase in food insecurity. That's when we really started with food recovery. People throw out food before it actually goes bad. This is food that hasn't been touched yet, so we collect that food and donate it to homeless shelters or other places to fight food insecurity. And then the food that people are throwing out that they've half eaten or open and we can't donate that, that's what we try to compost instead. So we're trying to fight all aspects of food waste overall. I didn't really have this huge vision that we have right now. A lot of it was just I just want to open compost programs in schools, as many as I can. And I was very surprised to see how far we've come.
Over the past 4 years, the Rise and Shine volunteers have composted almost 160,000 pounds of food and donated around 300,000 meals. I was so inspired by Shrusti. Shrusti showed me what it means to really step up and be a leader in service. You can tell that all of these volunteers respect Shrusti so much, her vision, and her smart, sustainable solutions to these problems. Beyond that, they all just really seem to like hanging out and volunteering together. Okay, babes! Let's go! In just 1 hour, we ended up making over 200 sandwiches for the local homeless shelter. So with that done, it was time to head out and see another part of Rise and Shine's work, their monthly food pantry pop-up. We packed up tons of perfectly good food that was donated by local restaurants and stores and brought it all to a local apartment complex where many of the residents are food insecure. All of this food would have been thrown away, but instead, because of Shrusti and the Rise and Shine volunteers, it's actually going to a good cause and making a difference in this community. Unfortunately, later in our trip, I started to feel pretty under the weather. So I decided it was time to pass the spotlight over to my crew member, Justin.
All right, so it is 9 o'clock. Anatola is a bit under the weather today, so you're gonna be rocking with me and Aiden. We are in Falls Church, Virginia right now, here to talk with another organization that works to combat food insecurity called Hand to Hunger, but they do it a little bit differently. As they say in showbiz, let's go see a bake sale.
When something around your house breaks down and you want to Yeah. Who made those? You did?
Yeah.
All right. How about the cookies? I had those last time.
My dad makes these.
Did Dad makes the cookies?
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him.
I make the brownies and the brookies, and then Grace makes the whoopie pies. We just do a donation based, and so people can take whatever they'd like, and then their donation goes to help keep running everything and buying supplies.
Okay, what are your personal favorites?
These.
Really?
By far, they're everyone's.
Across, do I have to try one?
Yeah. You must. They're always perfect. I know people will buy them and then they'll come back like 15 minutes later.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Last year, we started as a club at Meridian High School, and we just got together as friends to pack around 30 meals for local homeless shelters. And then over time, it just grew and built up to doing 4,000 to 5,000 meals a month for Martha's Table in DC. And then now it's grown to be at around 28 schools in the area. So we do these bake sales to fundraise for the meal packing events, to buy supplies, and just to help keep everything running.
How did the idea come to you to start Hand to Hunger, and what was starting it like?
So the idea really stemmed from Ramadan. So I'm Muslim, and last year was the first time I fasted all 30 days. And that experience really gave me empathy for food insecurity and realizing that it's a much larger issue than I realized. And so after looking into it, me and some friends, we just got together to start the club. And then that's really where it all started. We kind of grew faster than we knew what to do with. And so it started the first week doing just 30 sandwiches. And so the next week we did 100 and then 600. And then I think by the 5th week we were doing 4,000 to 5,000. Once we figured it out, it just became like a routine.
Get in the mix.
I think the greatest power of Hand to Hunger is that we are in high school. The biggest issue with food insecurity, besides the lack of meals and food access, is the lack of education, because a lot of people don't even understand that it is a problem, or that it is a problem in their community and not just in a foreign country. And so with being based in high schools, we're able to really educate people at a young age. Sometimes with required hours and graduation requirements, service can feel oh, I have to do this, I have to get this done. But with Hand to Hunger, we really try and make it feel like people get to do it. It really just felt like a bunch of friends getting together to pack some meals in the community, learn about food insecurity, and make a difference.
What number were you guys at? 20, 21, 22.
Okay.
Everything really makes an impact. So it's whether you're making 200 sandwiches or you're making 100 or you're making 4,000, there's so many more than 4,000 people who need those sandwiches. So as long as you're doing something, it's helping the greater good.
Thankfully, by that afternoon, I was feeling a bit better, and I couldn't wait to hear all about the day.
Justin, thanks so much for going to the bake sale on my behalf.
Of course.
I'm so sorry I missed it, but how was it?
The coolest thing about meeting Adam and Emily and Grace were just how just normal teenagers they are. They're just oh, I go to school, I do sports, I also volunteer with my friends. And I think just making it accessible and easy to do, and just being hey, it's a community of friends hanging out, volunteering, helping a cause, has really been what's attracted people to them and allowed for them to grow in the way they have. What were some of your takeaways from talking to Shruti and Rise and Shine?
I mean, one of them was definitely that, about how they're doing this work to do good and to make an impact, but they're not doing it to get recognition or get the likes or retweets or to get the clout, but because they care about it and want to do it.
Absolutely.
What would you say to someone who wants to make a big difference but doesn't know how?
It's something that a lot of people think of, especially youth. They think they have to grow up a little bit more before they can actually go out and make real change. That's definitely not true at all. I think when you have something that you're personally passionate about, all you really have to do is just have the determination to actually take the next step and just really go for it. There's nothing stopping you.
I think volunteering is really important for being able to see a different perspective. It's also great for learning how to interact with others. Before this, I hated public speaking and talking to strangers, but because of the bake sales where I've talked to thousands of people, I've seen that I've become a lot more outspoken and social through it. We're a club that gets together to pack meals for the local homeless and food insecure, so if you guys would like anything, we're right over there. Thank you guys.
I just can't believe it started so small and now we're here. It's not even really a club anymore. We're having an organization, which is really nice.
Yeah.
It's never too early to start something that can actually make an impact on the world.
Should we get like a group hug or something? Watch out for the ice cream though. I'll just put it over here. Rise and shine. The DMV has been so good to me. And this stop makes it clear that you don't have to be in a big city to make a big difference, because every step counts. Even small actions can lead to a huge impact.
Just landed in our next spot. Let me give you 3 clues as to where I am. It's hot. I'm on a coast, but not an ocean. And I definitely just saw an alligator. Where am I? Find out in the next episode of The New Volunteers. Thanks to the Allstate Foundation for fueling this series. It's just one of the ways they're working to empower youth to serve and improve their communities.